Okay, what we have here is a circulation pump on domestic hot water that went bad. It was really sounding noisy, like bad bearings, about a week ago, and has since stopped rotating. I did go ahead and order a new pump, the same model, so I'm going to switch it out. I got the power off right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. All I get is a hum. So I have no rotation. So we're going to go ahead and replace the pump. Over in this box here, I have the new pump. I'm just going to go through the steps of replacing it. So the circulation pump, if you don't know, is responsible for timely hot water at the sinks at the tap. So right now I have a restroom on the other end of the building that doesn't really get hot water because it takes too long to travel from the water heater. So this should fix the problem. The last pump was only in for a couple of years. So I don't know what exactly happened, but we had some trauma to the system. This water heater, actually, there's two of them here. Well, first of all, we had to do a drain down of the building because that expansion tank up there, the one before it, was leaking out the top. Hot water was spraying everywhere. And just a couple months ago, this water heater had a leak. The tank leaked, so it had to be replaced. So that was not a shutdown. We were able to isolate this. The only reason I mention it is shutting down and draining the system. You get a lot of sediment that gets stirred up. So my thinking is that, you know, it got caught in the impeller, and that's just the speculation. Because typically, you know, I see these last 8-12 years. Came with a couple washers. I'll show you that later. Go ahead and review your instructions with your make and type, you know, before you install, in case anything has changed. And a refresher, because as a facility tech, you don't necessarily be changing these out often. In fact, I've only had, in my memory, I only remember changing out 2 prior to this, possibly 3 at most in over 20 years. So it's always good just to review your manual that comes with it. So I have a Bell and Gossett, and I'll bring the camera over to get a better look at this. PL-45 is the model number. Bell and Gossett PL-45 should be matched up to what's over here. Why one's gold, why one's red? Couldn't tell you. I'm gonna have to get on top, I think, to look at the model number. This is a PL-45B. Maybe the last letter is about the color. I don't know. Which let's just hold up the new one next to the old one and see if we're about the same size. These are directional. They have arrows on them, which way the water flows. My water is flowing from top down to the bottom. I'm looking at this one for an arrow. And I don't even see one on this one. Because if mine's going to go full top to bottom, it's going to be like this, and the electrical connection is going to be down here. And see if the whip is long enough. It's going to be close. I wonder why I don't see an arrow on this one. We got the arrow right there, showing which way the flow is. I'm going to set this down and take a look at that one closer. I didn't put this one in. There's an old tag on here. This is all prior to 2021, and there's a new date on here in 23. This one also leaks, besides the motor being seized. Oh yeah, there's the arrow on this one. And it is pointing in the right direction. It's in a different spot. Way in the back. So, it's all moving in the right direction. Alright, I got the power off, so, you know, like I said, read the instruction, put on your safety glasses, your gloves. Do as I say, not as I do. This happens to be a boiler room that I'm working in, and it's pretty warm in here. You know, it feels like at least 85 degrees. So putting gloves on is not ideal. I might put them on for certain parts of this, but most of the time I'm not, because my hands are just going to get too hot, uncomfortable. All right, I got the power off. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the electric. All right, I know the power's off, switch is off, because when I turned it on, it hummed, and I turned it back off. It didn't hum. I know the power's out. And it looks like I have 3 wires, so we got a hot, a neutral, and a ground. I'll go ahead and disconnect my neutral. Go ahead and disconnect my hot, which is a bluish green. And disconnect my ground. We'll use new wire nuts. This one from the heat or whatever is already split. Should use new wire nuts anyways. I am told that wire nuts are a one-time use, and I would do that for reliability. Alright, so now that was an internal connection here. Just go ahead and put that one back on, just in case it helps me with the wiring with the new pump. I want, okay, I got my neutral, I got my hot, and now I want the ground, earth ground. Which is connected directly to the casing. All right, it's disconnected now. Take my screwdriver and loosen this nut on the BX connector. Check my wires out. Put that nut right back on so I don't lose it. I'm gonna need it again. Looks like I'll have enough length because the box on the new one's gonna be down here. As long as it's not over here, I can connect to the side, I'll be all right. If not, we'll have to get a longer whip. Means a trip to the hardware store. All right, I put my nut back on here so I don't lose it. I'm gonna tuck this out of the way until we need it. All right, we got isolation valves. We got one here. I'm going to turn it off. We got one here after. I'm going to turn it off. And since it's isolated, I'm just going to go ahead and start uncranking the 4 bolts that hold it into the system. I really haven't got any complaints from the occupants in the building about no hot water. Like I said, I went to the furthest tap and turned on the hot water in the restroom, and there was no hot water. I left it on for a minute and there was still no hot water. But at some point there was going to be a complaint, and now is when I have time to take care of it. All right, we got a fun reach here. Let's see. We'll put that on this way or that way to hold it. All right, that should hold. And if you installed these before and you have any tips or tricks for everybody else or myself, let me know in the comments. All right, that one's loose. Surprised there's no washers on these. And I'll do the 2 on the bottom. And then it'll either fall out or I will pull it out. I do know the isolation valves hold because I did a test here the other week. I wanted to make sure that this pump wasn't just airbound, that it was just spinning and not moving any water because there was air in the system. So I bled it until there was nothing but water coming out of here. If I still have the video clip of that, I'll show a few seconds of that. It was just in case. I didn't want to be changing a pump when it wasn't needed. But I already had the symptom of the motor being very loud, so I just wanted to rule it out. The motor was still spinning then, so I turned it back on after I bled it, and it was still loud as hell. In fact, there's a conference room above us in the next floor, and you could hear the pump running. You usually don't hear that. All right, I got a quick trip. Get a little bit of water. I got a concrete floor here next to the floor drains. I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to pull it off. Just always putting the nuts back on the bolts, so I don't have to go searching for them. All right, let's see if I can just pull this out. And I can. All right, I'm going to go set it down. All right, these are the two new gaskets that came with it. I'm going to do myself a favor and just put a little grease on here, so when it'll slide in better, and I know it won't be snagging the gasket, causing a leak. So I'm just going to apply the plumber's grease right to the gasket itself. One done. It's dirty there. I'm going to set this on something that's clean. I don't want to be picking up crap and having a bad seal. How about a new glove? Alright. That way I'm not catching dirt on the greasy gasket. Alright, I'm going to grab the pump after I wipe off my hands with grease and do a dry fit, a permanent fit, I don't know. Again, shows my water flow here going down. I know the water comes in this direction, down, and then up this way. I'm going to go ahead and put a gasket here. Just fits right in there. There's actually a groove for it. There's a spot for it. I'm going to do the same for the bottom. Working on this one, gravity is going to be working against me. There, put in the groove. Give it a tap. Looks like it's holding for now. Make sure it's in the right direction. I got stuff falling on me, getting in the way. All right, let's see if I have to loosen anything up. Get this in here. Yep, it's shoving off. See that? It's out of place, so I gotta be careful of that. I think I'm gonna have to. This is unistrut. May have to loosen it up just so I can move the pipe a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Okay. Work smarter, not harder. Just needs to be backed off like a 1/4 inch or so. So I can fit it in there. So I can fit it in there without tearing apart the gaskets or having a leak and having to do it all over. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this one up because there's 2 of them up there. For that one, there's only 1 here. We'll see if that'll be enough. And then once I get it in place, get this locked back in again. Oh, fell down. That's great. Good. Yeah, now it's too loose, right? Give it an attempt here. All right, I'm being cautious so I get the flow in the right direction. Both gaskets are still in. I'm gonna rest it on the bottom one. There we go. And this part of the flange is just flat. There is no groove for it to sit in. Okay. So what I'm going to attempt to do is put in my top bolts first, and hopefully when I tighten down, it's going to pull this piping together. Well, my bolts are long enough. I'm holding the pump with my left forearm. Let's see if I get this nut started on this boat with one freaking hand. Yes, I did. Okay. Get my next bolt ready. Yeah, it is hot in here. I am sweating. I'm gonna redo this one because I'm not sure if I'm cross threading or not. And I don't want to cross thread. All right, that felt a little better. All right, this one's wadding all over. I will check that gasket before I tighten these up. Gasket looks good. Yeah, if you don't have new gaskets when you do this, wait until you have new gaskets. I always see that they come with the pump. In case you don't, make sure you have new gaskets. I'll try to put in the, or I will put in the description on this particular make and model. And I got it from Zorro.com, which is a subsidiary of Grainger, but they run as two different companies. And Zorro is a strictly online store. There is no brick and mortar store to go into. I don't know about you doing maintenance or facility maintenance, but the less I have to go drive to a store and see if they might have something, the better. If I go order it online and it's not an emergency, it doesn't have to be done today, I order online. All right, double checking my gaskets. They look good. All right, I'm gonna tighten up the top ones first. I'm gonna do this one first because it's easy to reach. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the water on. See if we got any leaks. I just heard it pressurize. And there's no leaks. So I'll go ahead and connect the electric. So that's good. We're gonna knock out on this side and this side. Go ahead and take the cover off. And put the screw in the cover so I don't lose it. All right, we got our neutral, we got our hot or load, and a place to connect, the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and get knockout out. First, I'm taking this shirt off. Way too hot, especially when you start working. Get comfortable, take a Gatorade. Sorry about that, guys. I had my mic on my shirt that I took off. I'm going to stick it on my pocket here. That should be better for volume. Audio. Alright, I'm going to feed my ground wire, all 3 wires through the hole. Oh wait, I got to get my retaining nut off the whip. I'm going to need that. There we go. And I will have to go to the van to get some electrical nuts. Unless I got some here on the table. I'm mostly a good luck. Like most maintenance people these days, they give you several buildings or a dozen buildings to take care of. So it doesn't really do that good to have everything in a shop somewhere and you gotta drive for it. Try to keep what I can in the van. The common things. But you can't carry everything in the truck. Alright, so we do reach, so that's good. Playing with the BX connector. Go ahead and tighten the retaining nut. Alright, that's tight, and we'll get some new nuts. Nut connectors. I really like those lever connectors. But in this situation, I don't think it's going to work. I don't have that much room in that box for them. They take up a little bit more room. Alright, I got the new wire nuts, not reusing the old ones. So my bluish green was for my load. Just look down to make sure the power's still off. Just dropped one of them. No. Go up my neutral. Alright, now I'm going to see where it's best to hook up my ground. So, 2 things that look green to connect to, yeah. Let's see. We'll go with this one further away from the connection. Just one of those green terminal screws that goes right into the casing. We're in Tighten it up. I'm gonna rip this whole ticket off. It has nothing to do with this new pump. I don't want anybody to get confused. Maybe I'll check later if this one needs to be oiled or is it lifetime sealed. Alright, since I'm wired up, I'm going to flip the switch before I close it all up to save myself some time. It's running. It's kind of loud. That's the way it is. I don't think it should be that loud. Alright, so this screw I'm going to put right here. So as long as the one that came off. Alright. I'm just going to tuck these wires up and in. Alrighty. Smash it all in there. Okay. And get my cover. Today is October. What did I do with the screw? Today's October 16th, 2025. I'm going to go ahead and write the date on it. Is the screw still here? Oh, it's right there. Okay. See how I am about losing the screws? That's why I have to put them back right away. If you stayed to the end, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next one. I appreciate you watching. The B&G. There's the arrow. I'm going in the right direction. I'm going to remove this.